Okay, welcome everybody to this ICL webinar on biostimulants, and the title is Adding to the Grower's Plant Health Toolbox. This will be presented by myself, Martin Donnelly, and my colleague Sam Rivers. So we'll take you through the basics of biostimulants, then go into a little more detail, and then take you through the vital Nova range and a little bit of explanation of our trials data. So to begin, what are biostimulants? Biostimulants can be described as substances and/or microorganisms that, when applied to plants or the rhizosphere, stimulate natural processes in the plant to benefit nutrient uptake, nutrient efficiency, tolerance to abiotic or biotic stress, and/or crop quality, independent of their nutrient content. There are many definitions of biostimulants, but I thought this one summed it up very well. And what I will do later on is take you through the differences between abiotic and biotic stress. Biostimulants are not a replacement for precise, targeted nutrition and robust IPM practices. These are intended to be an addition to the grower's toolbox and to help with plant health. But as I said, it's not a replacement to good plant nutrition and overall IPM and IDM plans. So biostimulants are another tool for the grower to employ. So what are the types of biostimulants we have? There's quite a few of them, and these are just a few examples. We have beneficial bacteria, such as Bacillus subtilis, and some of those now have gone on to be registered products. Also, different types of beneficial fungi, for example, mycorrhiza, seaweeds, and yeast-based products, which is what our Vital Nova range is based on. We also have humic substances, such as humic acid, metabolites including acetic acid, and what we call inorganic biostimulants, as an example, silicon. So the Vital Nova range is composed of products that come from fermented yeast. And within there, we can also add in bacteria and enzymes and base sugar carbohydrates. Now, from that fermentation process, as you can see on this slide, various things come out of that are very useful to us when we're looking to formulate biostimulants. Now, key to biostimulants is amino acids. You'll see those mentioned quite a lot. Enzymes, organic acids, hormones, peptides, vitamins and minerals. There are other products in that list, but these are the ones I want to focus on, but especially amino acids, peptides, and vitamins. Now, these all come out of the fermentation process, and then to formulate a product, we obviously target whatever these metabolites are from the fermentation process, and we put those into products that are going to suit our needs and, more importantly, your needs. So how do biostimulants work? Several ways, but the main mechanism is by stimulating the plant's natural defense mechanism. This can be described as a natural elicitor because they elicit a response from the plant. They can also colonize the rhizosphere and the roots and can compete with other pathogens. Most of them utilize available nutrients effectively and make them easily available when the plant requires them. In a lot of cases, these nutrients are present, but sometimes the plant cannot get access to them. And biostimulants are very good at allowing the plant to access these nutrients when, especially, it is under stress. So as I mentioned before, the main stress factors on plants and your plants are being subjected to these stress factors every day, and they are classified as abiotic stress and biotic stress. Now, abiotic stress is all the environmental stress factors that plants have to deal with every day. And starting from the top of this slide, we have heat, cold and wind, high electrical conductivity, drought, and waterlogging. Now, these don't always happen at the same time, but they are all stresses that the plant has to deal with on its own normally. And it does have its own defense mechanisms to deal with this, as we know. But if we can help it along with some biostimulants to help make that process a little quicker, then the plant will cope with them much better. Now, biotic stress factors are living organisms, so they can be insects, pathogens, herbivores, and at the root sector as well, we also have the insects and the pathogens. Now, you'll all know these. You all know you have the whiteflies, spider mites, aphids. They are all causing biotic stress. They're feeding on the plant, they're sucking the sap out of the plant, and the plant has to deal with that. It has to try and mitigate that stress and still carry on growing. Pathogens such as all our mildews and other diseases are also attacking the plant. And herbivores such as rabbits can be eating away at the plants. And all this is weakening the plant's defenses all the time. Then in the root zone, we have other insects, as we all know, and pathogens that attack the roots when it's either waterlogged or it's the right time of year for that insect to attack. Now, again, the plant is trying to deal with all this and carry on with its normal process of growing, flowering, and seeding. And sometimes it needs a little help. And that's where biostimulants come in, but also you will probably be using plant protection products as well, and other cultural methods to help mitigate this stress. But put this all together and include biostimulants, and it's a very powerful way and effective way of helping the plant to defend itself that much better. So here's an example of a phytohormone cycle, which is the stage of growth from a plant. So we go through the germination and establishment on the left, moving through to vegetative growth, and then finally into flowering and reproduction, which is the most important process for the plant because it really does want to seed and reproduce. And then at the end of the crop cycle, we have maturity and senescence. And we all know what that's like, especially with broadleaf trees and shrubs. They will senesce at the end of the season and they will drop their leaves. This is the normal cycle of life. But what is very important with biostimulants is these can have a big effect on some of these stages and can help the plant be far more productive and efficient. And so you will get a better leaf, bigger canopy, more bulking. You may have better cell elongation, which gives you more vegetative growth. Ethylene reproductive development, which means better flowering and ripening, especially on fruit. And then when it comes to maturity and dormancy, the plant can mature in the right way and then store some of the products it needs for the next season. And you can see that in bulbs, where a lot of the nutrition that the plant needs for the next season goes back into the bulb. And biostimulants can help this process make it more effective. So hopefully you can see why they would be useful to you. I'm now going to pass over to my colleague, Sam Rivers, who's going to take you into a little bit more depth of what biostimulants are.
Thank you, Martin. Hi, everyone. My name is Sam Rivers. I'm the Technical Area Sales Manager for ICL. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about the natural processes that occur in the plant and how biostimulants help aid these processes and help ensure the quality of your plants. So plants have developed natural defense mechanisms over millions of years to help combat pests, diseases, and other abiotic and biotic factors. The two general terms for these defense mechanisms are known as constitutive, which are continuous, preformed physical barriers. As an example, here we have a picture of trichomes present on a tomato plant, which secretes toxins to ward off herbivory. Another example would be thorns on a rose, again to ward off herbivory. The next type of defense mechanism is an induced resistance. This is a defense mechanism that's initiated upon attack, but it requires the presence of elicitors to elicit a defensive response. Regarding biostimulants, the main focus is targeted on the effects of elicitors on the induced response. Elicitors are compounds that will cause a plant to activate natural defense mechanisms. Elicitors are naturally occurring, but can also be commercially produced to create biostimulants, which we can then utilize to stimulate the natural defense processes within the plant. When it comes to induced resistance, there are two different types of response. The first is systemic acquired resistance, or SAR, and the second is induced systemic resistance, or ISR. I'm going to explain the differences in these responses and how these benefit the plant. Systemic acquired resistance is induced by the exposure of both the root and foliar tissues to abiotic and biotic factors, which Martin has covered. But just to recap, abiotic factors are non-living, for example, waterlogging or drought, whereas biotic factors are living, such as pests or diseases. Here, we see an insect feeding on the foliage of a plant, and what prompts a response by the plant is actually the elicitors that are present in the insect's saliva, which induces a response by the plant and activates defensive pathways. In this case, the response is the activation of the salicylic acid pathway, which is known for mediating host responses against pathogen infection. As we can see in the picture, the response from the plant is that volatile chemicals are released, which can help deter the pest. This response has also been shown to aid the recruitment of natural enemies, such as parasitoid wasps. If I was going to damage the plant myself, the response would be slightly different. A wounding response would be triggered, but as I do not have any elicitors present in my skin cells, there is no defensive response by the plant. As you can expect, this is a high defensive response from the plant, and as such has a very high energy cost, so it does not make sense for the plant to initiate these defenses constantly. Next, we have the induced systemic resistance, or ISR. This response is slightly different to SAR, as it is induced by the exposure of the root system, not the foliage, from specific strains of bacteria, such as Pseudomonas or Bacillus species. The plant response to these bacteria is the activation of the jasmonic acid and ethylene pathways. Jasmonic acid is the core pathway regulating the resistance to leaf-chewing herbivores, whereas ethylene is responsible for reproductive development and ripening, and is also the senescence, otherwise known as an aging hormone in the plant. This does have a shorter time and lower defensive response. Plants have evolved over millions of years to create robust defense responses to biotic and abiotic factors. We are just starting to scratch the surface on how we can take advantage of these processes. The use of biostimulants is a step in the right direction to offer a more friendly and robust alternative to plant production in the future. As I mentioned, SAR and ISR are energy demanding processes. However, biostimulants are developed to incur no cost to the plant in terms of energy, as they have been formulated with a specific nutrition package. There has been many peer-reviewed articles on the benefits of using biostimulants to help boost plant production. I will just run a few benefits that have been researched. It has been shown that flowering and sprouting induction is increased with better overall flowering quality, which is likely to do with the activation of the ethylene pathways mentioned. It has also been shown to improve foliage on leaf tissues, with thicker and healthier leaf quality being observed. There's been shown a better response in rooting, particularly for cuttings and younger roots, which is important as many plants are susceptible to numerous stresses in these stages. They can have a beneficial effect on the soil through colonizing the rhizosphere and outcompeting other pathogens. In fruit, there has been a lot of research on these in tomato and viticulture production, and has been shown to improve size and overall quality. For seeds and seedlings, it has been shown to improve germination success and help overcome transplant success, where a lot of plants are at their most susceptible to pathogens. Here we can see from trial work the upregulation of genes within the plant. If you look at the treatments, the grey colour signifies a lesser response, with the green indicating a greater response. You do see some response in the control because, as we said, this is a natural process within the plant. When you compare the control to the treatments which have had applications of biostimulants, there's a much larger response within the plant, which obviously gives them a distinct advantage. That's all from me. I'm now going to pass over to Martin, who's going to introduce our VitalNova nursery range. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam, and hello again, everyone. Now I'd like to introduce you to our VitalNova nursery range, which is 2 new products for the new ICL biostimulant range. And for the future, we hope to add to this range. But for now, we have 2 very new products, both having a different way of helping the plant to defend itself against the stresses I've mentioned to you recently. So what I will do now is hand over to Sam Rivers, who will take you through the first of these products.
Thank you, Martin. Now I'm going to talk about one of our products from our biostimulant range, and this is VitalNova Prime. It is derived from yeast, or more specifically, Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So yeast cell walls are rich in amino acids and peptides, which are known to act as natural elicitors within the plant. Going back to what we talked about earlier, this stimulates the plant's induced defense response by activating the ISR and SAR defense pathways. This means that a plant is more able to withstand abiotic and biotic stresses such as drought or disease pressure, which helps decrease the risk of plant loss throughout the season. VitalNova Prime leaves no synthetic residues and can be used in programs either alone or in combination with conventional chemicals. If you're going to be using different products alongside VitalNova Prime, you should check the compatibility, which can be discussed with your local technical area sales manager. VitalNova Prime has economical rates of use and a long shelf life. Again, please consult your local area sales manager for application advice, who will help you calculate the amount required for your production system and the best method of application. For maximum efficacy, we recommend to apply this product as a foliar spray every 7 days, as regular applications ensure the plant's defensive pathways are constantly activated. Thank you. I will now just pass over to Martin, who will talk about our VitalNova Guardian product.
Okay, thank you, Sam. Sam has just gone over the VitalNova Prime. So you can see how that works to help the plant maximize its natural defenses. Now, as you can see from Prime, you can use that on a very regular basis. And because it is systemic, it will work within the plant from root through to the foliage. What I'm going to talk about now is VitalNova Guardian. This is a purely foliar product. Now, this is going to be used in a way that we call an intervention product. So sometimes, even with plant protection products and biostimulants such as VitalNova Prime, the plant may be under undue stress at the foliage level. Now, this could be because of all the abiotic stresses I mentioned before. It could be because of high wind or cold. And sometimes it just needs a little bit more help defending itself when it comes to the foliage. And this is where we start to use Guardian. So as you are doing your monitoring on the crop and hopefully using your Prime and integrating it into your IPM program, you may sometimes find that the plant is struggling with at the foliage level and may need a little bit more help to defend itself at that point. And this is where Guardian comes in. So it really is down to monitoring. If you see any effects of stress on the leaves, on the foliage, including wilting or spotting, or the first signs of any disease that might be coming in there, then it may just be that it's a good time to start using Guardian to help the plant defend itself at that level. And it is quite possible that you can be using this with Prime at the same time. So it will integrate with Prime and it will also integrate with your crop protection program. So what is it? So prime is a unique combination of cations. So basically these cations are going to work within the leaf and it will help the plant to ride out the storm when it comes to these stress factors. Because they're cations, they will be present within the leaf, but it's not systemic, so it's purely going to be working on the leaf. As such, this product is foliar applied and it will help with the environmental stress. It will integrate fully into disease management programs. So if you've already got your crop protection program built in, that's absolutely fine. It can be tank mixed with most products. Obviously, treat a small area before you do that first, but most products will integrate very well into tank mixing with Guardian, or it can be done on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, depending on the stress factors that you're seeing on the plant. It's approved for organic crop production, and as I said, it can be used in conjunction with Vital Nova Prime. This product and Prime can be used on all types of crops, edible and non-edible. So there's no need to worry about any regulations that might be there. And something else that we need to stress is that these are not plant protection products. So there are no regulations around the normal chemical products or any plant protection product with a MAP number. That does not apply to these biostimulants. And as I said, just to reiterate, Vital Guardian is purely foliar for intervention when crop stress is evident over and above what you would normally see. As far as directions of use, Vital Nova Guardian is foliar applied at 2 litres per hectare. Now, for smaller areas, that really converts into 2 millilitres of Guardian in 1 litre of water. Apply it between 50 to 100 ml of dilute product per metre squared. For those of you who work in hectares, that equates to 500 to 1,000 litres of water per hectare. Obviously, the water volume will depend on the crop height and canopy. So increase the water volume if the plant is quite dense or tall. If the plant is close to the ground, not much of a canopy, I would always recommend going to the lower amount of water because you're going to maximize the amount of product that the plant gets access to. Spray it just to the point of runoff because Guardian is no use to you or the plant if it's in the soil or the compost, and it is foliar applied only. Apply regularly every 7 to 10 days to enhance the plant's defences within the foliage, and as I said, especially when the plant is under stress. It needs to be applied at 5 times over the life of the crop because biostimulants have a memory and they do run out of steam over time, and I'll explain that in a few minutes. The product is going to perform best if you use it within 24 months of purchase, and that will really be the same for any product or chemical store. So as far as mixing it, half fill the tank.
Stop, Mark.
Stop. Go on.
Sorry, yeah, you're gonna have to start again on this slide if that's all right.
Yeah.
You buzzed out.
Did I?
Yeah, it sounded like max headroom.
Oh, okay.
So
Start again then.
Fran's not going to get that.
I think you could probably go from about the 24 months.
Oh, okay.
Of course, wait from the bottom.
I'll do that then. No problem.
Yeah. Ready when you are.
The product performs best if it is used within 24 months of the purchase date. And you will probably have the same, start again. Lost me, I had to stop, I lost my train of thought and start again on that one. The product performs best if it is used within 24 months of purchase. This is always similar to the other products you will have in your crop protection store. As far as mixing is concerned, half fill the tank with water before adding the Vital Nova Guardian. Stir the solution while mixing and during spraying. The reason for this is the product can then be mixed properly and it will not separate at any point. If mixing this product with any other plant protection products, always check the physical compatibility first. Now, this can be done with the manufacturer or by you just trialing it on a very small area just to make sure there's no phytotoxic effects. It's very unlikely, but that is just good practice. Sorry guys, it's froze on me. Can we just stop there?
Yeah, that's fine.
No worries.
Don't know why it's not moving the slide. So I don't know if it's my bandwidth, could be.
Yeah, well, you went out a bit earlier on, so it could be that.
Right, it's moving again now.
Okay.
Okay. So just to explain about the memory and the time that biostimulants are present within the plant, because this is very important for when you as growers are going to integrate these into programs. So as you know from previous slides and listening to Sam, these are natural elicitors, especially the prime, and they're used preventatively, just as vaccines are used with humans. But it takes time to produce a response in our bodies and in plants. So it takes a few days for their full effect to develop. And this is the initiation phase. And then there's a plateau into maintenance phase before the effects eventually wear off. And that's where we need to go back to repeat applications. So on the right-hand side, you will see that plant immune response after application. So you can see initiation into maintenance, which is at the maximum level of effectiveness. So we're there at around 7 to 10 days. And then you can see where that slide, where that graph, the curve then drops down very quickly. So by the time we get to 15, 20 days, there's probably not much activity going on at all. So the repeat application really needs to be between 7 to 10 days, and then you will be able to see that you're keeping it at the maximum level of response within the plant. So below that, you can see a hypothetical treatment program. And this includes Vital Nova Prime, a contact fungicide, and a systemic fungicide. And as you can see, you can use them in tandem with weekly applications. And by doing that, each one of them is plateauing out for maximum effectiveness. And if that is carried on throughout the crop cycle, especially in the high risk times where you've got high humidity, or if it's botrytis where the temperatures are dropping and becoming a little bit more humid, then these are the times that the plant is really under stress. And if you keep that graph in mind at the top, you've got to keep that maintenance level where it is to get maximum effectiveness from not only our biostimulant range, but from your crop protection products, because they too will only last for so long, either on the foliage or within the plant. So just so you know what we did to prove the efficacy of these products, we did some independent trials and we wanted to see just what these would do on their own. So we're not putting these into programs with crop protection products, but you know now that you can do this. But this is just looking at what these products can do purely on their own. So if we look at the treatments at the top, we've got number 1, which is untreated. 2 is Vital Nova Prime. 3 is Vital Nova Guardian. And 4 is a standard proven crop protection program. Now, if we go to the top slide where it says assessments, we've got the average number of lesions of a disease. And in this case, it was powdery mildew. So treatment 1, as you can see, the lesions are far and away more numerous than any of the other treatments, which is what we'd expect. Go to treatment 2 with Vital Nova Prime, and you can see quite a marked reduction. Now, that is literally the plant reacting to the application of Vital Nova Prime and kick-starting its defense mechanisms. There is nothing to do with plant protection here. This is purely the plant helping to defend itself with the help of Prime. Number 3 is Guardian. And as you can see, not so much as a marked effect, but that's not surprising because at this point, the disease was just in its early stages, and Prime being systemic was working very well on its own. But hopefully you can imagine what it would be like putting those two products together. You'll get an even better response. Treatment 4, no surprise, the disease level is very low because this is a proven mix of plant protection products. But a word of caution, a lot of these products will not be around for very much longer. So we will start depending more on biostimulants in the future rather than standard crop protection products. If we go to the slide below, and there again, we've got the average number of lesions and assessment again, and this is a later date. Again, treatment 1, no surprise there. There's more lesions there, getting up to 45 lesions. If we go to 2, Vital Nova Prime, as you can see, they're now well below 30 and around 27. And again, Guardian up at 30. Now again, this is proving that Prime is having the most effect within the plant at this time. And there's no surprise there. I think I said to you, the only time to use Guardian is as a foliar intervention product. So on monitoring, if you see those stresses starting to manifest themselves more on the foliage, then that's the time to switch over to Guardian. But in a lot of cases, you will major for a lot of the crop with Prime. We then did another similar trial with some Lanicera. And again, it was the same type of trial with the same assessments, but obviously a different plant group. Again, it was powdery mildew, and this was manifesting itself naturally on the plant. And so again, we've got the untreated on the top assessment, and in the first treatment on the 22nd of the 10th, we're almost up at 25 lesions. With B, Vital Nova Prime, we're down at below 15, and the same with C with Guardian. Again, D, the standard crop protection, has performed very well with 5 lesions. And again, there is no surprise there with the crop protection program. But look at the 2 biostimulants on their own, and between them, they're making a marked difference in the reduction of these lesions. If you imagine again a program including those and a limited crop protection program, so in other words, you're not using those chemicals as often because you're integrating them with the biostimulants, not only will you get good control, but you'll get more applications available to you with those chemicals, and you will reduce any possibility of resistance compared to what you're doing with just chemical products. If we go to the later assessment below, again, the disease on the control has really ramped up to 35 lesions. But again, B and C, Prime and Guardian, you can see now quite a marked reduction in those lesions just on their own. And then the crop protection program at the bottom will well below 5. But again, just reiterating to you, if you imagine having these products going in a real programmed approach, doing them every 7 to 10 days and alternating them, you can tell from these results that you'll be getting very, very good results with the reduction of lesions and the manifestation of either biotic or abiotic stress. In this case, it is biotic stress. But hopefully you can see how these products can work for you. They have got a place, and it gets you ready for the future, which is a world with a reduced amount of crop protection products based on chemistry available to you. And we are going to be moving into this more natural world with biostimulants and physically acting products. Thank you.